Welcome, dear viewers. Thank you for choosing to stay with us among countless other options. On your journey toward financial freedom and sustainable wealth building, you've just stepped into a world shaped by the timeless wisdom of one of the most intelligent and practical peoples on earth, the Jewish people. If you've ever wondered why you work so hard but still struggle financially, it's very likely that you've been using the wrong approach. Today's video isn't just something to listen to for entertainment. It's a compass, a system of 14 core mindsets that have empowered the Jewish community to master money, conquer markets, and pass on wealth through generations. If you're serious about transforming your financial thinking, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the powerful lessons ahead. Now, let's step into the world of 14 principles that make money multiply, scientifically, sustainably, and in a way that anyone can apply. Don't let your money sleep. Make it work for you. In Jewish financial thinking, there's a principle repeated like a warning. Money that doesn't generate profit is slowly dying. This isn't a metaphor. It's a fundamental rule that governs how Jewish people manage their assets. Most people believe that keeping money in the bank is safe. A savings book, a fixed account, or a cash-filled safe are all considered secure ways to protect wealth. But for the Jewish mindset, that's the fastest way to weaken your financial potential. Because when money sits still, it creates no value. When it doesn't move, it erodes through inflation, time, and most dangerously, through stagnant thinking. Jewish people don't let money sleep. They make it work. It must circulate. It must produce returns. They don't wait around for 5% annual interest from the bank. Instead, they seek out opportunities, investing in businesses, expanding ventures, or funding education and technology, areas with the potential to multiply their capital many times over. This mindset isn't based on luck, but on three core principles that most Jewish individuals apply in their financial lives. Informed investing. They never put money into things they don't understand. If they haven't grasped the operational model or clearly identified the risks, they won't invest, no matter how promising the returns. Fast capital turnover. A dollar turned over 3 times in a year is far more valuable than one locked in a vault. They prioritize cash flow velocity. The faster money moves, the greater the profits. Tight risk control. They never bet everything on one opportunity. They always have contingency plans, diversify their cash flow, and spread investments. Risks are always kept within acceptable limits. For example, if an average person has $10,000, they might stash $9,000 in the bank and spend the remaining $1,000. But a Jewish investor might allocate $3,000 for learning, $5,000 into profit-generating ventures, and keep the rest as a liquidity buffer. They never leave money idle because they understand that money is a tool, not a decorative item. In the end, money is an army. If you let it sleep in the barracks, you're wasting its potential power. But if you learn how to train, deploy, and activate it at the right moment, that army will expand your financial territory in ways you never imagined. If you're currently stuck in a financial loop, it might not be because you're earning too little. It could be because your money has been asleep for too long. Don't think you need to be rich to invest. Jewish people often start with small amounts. They learn how to turn $1 into 1.1, then keep reinvesting. Step by step, small wins lead to breakthroughs. The solution isn't in taking wild risks, but in gaining clarity. Start by learning about investments, understanding cash flow, and experimenting with small models. Train yourself to analyze and manage risk so that every dollar you own becomes a financial employee working for you, not lying idle from fear or ignorance. So ask yourself, are you locking up your money out of fear, or are you directing it to bring you freedom? Money never sleeps. You just haven't learned how to wake it up. Saving is not as powerful as learning how to earn more. From a young age, many of us were taught that if you want to be rich, you must save money. This idea sounds reasonable, but to the Jewish people, known for their sharp financial thinking, it's only half the truth. And they believe that half a truth can sometimes be more dangerous than a lie. Jewish people do not deny the value of saving. They understand that reckless spending and living beyond one's means is a direct path to financial collapse. However, they also acknowledge a fundamental truth. Saving alone won't make you rich. Someone with a low income, no matter how frugally they live, will struggle to build significant wealth. In contrast, someone who consistently increases their income can live comfortably and still build lasting prosperity. Jewish financial thinking always starts with the question, how can I earn more? Not how can I spend less? This mindset opens a completely different path. Rather than squeezing every penny to stop the bleeding, they focus on increasing the flow of money coming in. They invest in themselves, learn new skills, expand their work, or build additional income streams. They aren't stingy, but they spend with strategy. A Jewish person may dine at fine restaurants, wear quality clothes, or drive a good car, but you'll never see them spend impulsively. Behind every expense is a clear financial principle. Only spend when it creates long-term value for personal growth, professional advancement, or strategic relationships. In contrast, many people today spend most of their time comparing prices, hunting for discounts, or cutting expenses down to the last coin. They're happy saving a few bucks at checkout, but waste hours on activities that bring no real benefit. That's a consumer mindset, not an investor mindset. And Jewish people do not live with a consumer mindset. They understand that if you only focus on cutting back without finding ways to expand, you are shrinking your own future. Cutting costs is like bandaging a wound. It may stop the bleeding temporarily, but it doesn't make you stronger. On the other hand, increasing your income doesn't just heal, it strengthens your entire financial system. Jewish people are willing to invest in education, skills, technology, and relationships, anything that will help them earn more in the future. For them, spending money without gaining knowledge is a form of waste. There's a famous story in the Jewish community. Someone once asked a wealthy businessman, "What does a poor person need most?" The answer wasn't money. It was a desire to make money. Because if all you do is guard your money, you live in a state of defense. But with the desire to generate wealth, you move into a state of action, where you control your life, not the other way around. What about you? Are you cutting back on daily coffee or learning a new skill to double your income next year? Are you dreading your monthly bills or planning your next stream of revenue? Let's do a simple comparison. If you save $40 a month, after 10 years, you'll have saved $4,800. But if you find a way to earn an extra $200 a month, that's $24,000 in 10 years, not counting what you could gain by investing it. Clearly, the income growth mindset takes you much further. Saving is a brick, but creating income is the pillar that holds up your financial castle. The wealthy aren't rich because they save more than you. They're rich because they earn from more sources than you. And it all begins by seeing money not as something to keep, but something to grow. Imagine you're a farmer preparing for the planting season. In your hands is a sack of grain, part of it for food, part of it reserved as seed for the next harvest. But if hunger drives you to eat even the seed grain, what happens next season? You'll have nothing left to plant. This is the most accurate image of the financial mistake that so many people make. In Jewish financial thinking, every dollar is a seed. If planted wisely and nurtured properly, it will sprout, multiply, and grow into a thriving financial field. But if spent on short-term pleasures, fleeting indulgences, or items that don't produce value, you're essentially destroying your future harvest with your own hands. The Jewish people refer to this mistake as eating the seed grain. And they consider it an absolute taboo in financial management. Because when you spend your capital, the very funds that should be invested to generate income, you've lost the only tool capable of building your financial freedom. The greatest difference between the rich and the poor doesn't lie in how much money they make, but in how they use what they earn. The poor often spend first and save if anything remains. The wealthy, on the other hand, invest first and spend what's left. They treat investment capital as untouchable, no matter how tough the situation gets. One powerful example is John D. Rockefeller, the legendary oil magnate. While others rushed into oil drilling, Rockefeller chose to invest in refineries. He didn't chase trends or throw money into speculative ventures. He built infrastructure, the foundation the entire market would rely on. His vision, combined with a fierce commitment to protecting capital, allowed him to control the entire value chain and become one of the wealthiest men in history. Meanwhile, many people today still live paycheck to paycheck. Worse, they spend money they don't even have. They borrow, swipe credit cards, buy on installment, often for things they don't truly need. They dip into their business capital, drain their savings, and borrow from their future to satisfy their present. And this cycle keeps them trapped in constant financial crisis. Jewish people take a different approach. They always set aside a portion of money as capital, no matter how small. That capital is then invested in stocks, real estate, business ventures, or personal development. And most importantly, no one touches that money, not even themselves. They teach their children, capital is survival. Lose your capital and you lose everything. But if you still have capital, you always have the chance to start again. That's why no matter how hard life gets, they protect their seed for the next season. What about you? Are you spending the very funds that should be preserved for investment? Are you living with a deal with it later mindset, or are you building a long-term financial foundation? Take a look at your accounts. Do you have a portion clearly reserved for investing? Are you putting your money to work or squeezing every last cent for short-term wants? If today you're still eating the seed grain, stop immediately. Establish a non-negotiable rule for yourself. Set aside at least 10% of your income for investment. Do not touch it for anything that doesn't directly grow your wealth. Because only when you learn to protect your financial seeds can you truly harvest freedom. And remember, no one gets rich by spending well. People become wealthy because they know how to protect and grow their money day by day. In today's financial world, wealth is often measured in houses, stocks, real estate, or cash. But for the Jewish people, one of the most successful and affluent communities on the planet, the most valuable asset isn't locked in a safe. It's stored in the mind. The Jewish believe that wisdom is a form of gold that never loses value. It can't be stolen, seized, or eroded by inflation. While material assets can disappear in a single economic downturn, knowledge, mindset, and skills stay with you for life, and they continue to generate returns, even if you lose everything else. Unlike most people, Jewish individuals don't work just to earn money. They work to expand their thinking, to upgrade their intelligence. They understand that true wealth is not about having money. It's about having the ability to recreate money from nothing using only your mind. A well-known story in the Jewish community tells of a wealthy old man who, before passing away, wrote a will leaving all his assets to his servant and told his son he could choose only one thing. When the will was read, the son didn't protest. He simply said, "I choose the servant." According to the law at the time, whoever owned the servant also owned his belongings. A brilliant move that reflected sharp intellect, and it made the father smile in approval. Another, more practical story. A Jewish man lends someone $2,000, and the borrower refuses to repay. Instead of creating conflict, the lender writes a letter saying, "You still owe me $3,000. The borrower immediately replies, "That's not true. I only owe you $2,000. And just like that, he unintentionally confirmed the debt himself. A perfect example of how Jewish people use intelligence instead of confrontation. They don't chase after get-rich-quick secrets. Instead, they invest in sustainable wealth-building thinking. They read daily, learn from every situation, analyze trends, and sharpen their personal skills. They're not afraid to start over. They don't hesitate to dive deep into concepts so that when opportunity comes, they don't ask, "What should I do?" They know exactly what to do and how to do it. You might see a 70-year-old Jewish man reading economics books every evening. A mother of 3 studying personal finance after dinner, a 12-year-old child managing a weekly budget. They've built a culture of lifelong learning, not out of hobby, but because they treat it as a financial responsibility for life. And this leads to an undeniable truth. The smarter you are, the less dependent you become. When you have knowledge, you don't need anyone to hold your hand. You analyze, decide, and create opportunities on your own. Even if you lose everything, you can start again because you haven't lost the most important asset, yourself. What about you? When was the last time you learned a new skill? Have you read a meaningful book lately? Have you invested time or money into upgrading your financial mindset? If not, You might be spending on things that fade over time instead of things that stay and lift you higher. Make a promise to yourself. Learn something new every month and upgrade a core skill every year. Whether it's communication, negotiation, investing, time management, or content creation, all of these are life assets that generate returns if you know how to use them. The Jewish aren't wealthy because of luck. They're wealthy because they place their bets in the right place. And the safest place to bet is on yourself. In Jewish financial and business culture, there is a philosophy passed down through generations known as the 3-month Kinbu rule. It's not a success hack, nor a shortcut to wealth, but a critical life principle. Whatever you start, commit to it for at least 3 months before drawing any conclusions. We live in an era of speed. Instant news, fast food, quick results, and now people demand instant success. Many begin a project, a job, or an investment and expect results in just a few days. When nothing happens, they give up, jump to something new, and repeat that cycle endlessly. The Jewish people think differently. They understand a simple truth. No seed sprouts the moment it touches soil. No business becomes massively profitable the day it launches. And no skill turns into mastery after just one night of practice. Success requires time, discipline, and most importantly, persistence. Because sometimes results only appear after you've crossed 95% of the journey. But if you give up at the 90th minute, all previous effort goes to waste. There's an inspiring story often told in Jewish financial circles. A man named Han was an investor living in Shanghai during the Sino-French War. As real estate prices collapsed, investors everywhere panicked and dumped their properties. But Han did the opposite. He bought aggressively, ignoring the mockery of others. Just a few months later, when the war ended, the market bounced back. His assets multiplied in value, and he became a legend. The difference? Persistence at the right moment. Another simpler example. In Manchester, UK, there's a small Jewish-owned barbecue shop that's lasted 3 generations. While trendy restaurants open and shut around it, this humble shop is packed with customers every day. They don't chase fads. They don't pivot at every market shift. They stick to their core values and persist consistently. In every domain, business, self-growth, investing, or skill building, the Jewish community applies the 3-month Kinbu rule. It's a personal commitment. No matter what, don't quit before reaching that 3-month mark. Because they know most people fail not due to lack of ability, but because they give up too early. What about you? How many times have you abandoned an opportunity because results didn't come fast enough? How often have you felt discouraged just because someone else moved faster? How many times have you quit just because the first 30, 60, or 90 days were silent? Think about it. When was the last time you stuck with something for a full 90 days? When was the last time you refused to judge a result too early? If you're launching a YouTube channel, starting a freelance job, learning a new skill, or pursuing a business idea, make this promise. I will persist for at least 3 months. Because chances are, the result is waiting just beyond day 91. But you'll never know if you don't go that far. Successful people aren't always the smartest. They're the ones who don't stop. While others quit, they continue. While others look for something new, they stay with what they chose. And that persistence becomes their ultimate advantage. So starting today, remember this Jewish saying, I will persist for at least 3 months before deciding, before quitting. You may not see success after 3 days, but if you stay committed for 3 months, an entire garden will begin to bloom. In mathematics, everyone knows that 1 + 1 = 2. But in the wealth-building mindset of the Jewish people, that equation must be greater than 2. Because for them, wealth doesn't come from simple accumulation, but from the ability to create synergistic value from the same initial resources. This is what sets the Jewish people apart from the majority. While many are content with fixed salaries, stable jobs, and linear financial models, the Jewish mindset always asks, how can I multiply value many times over from the same starting point? They don't just see raw materials. They see potential for value expansion. They don't stop at asking, what is this worth? They ask, what can this become if I add creativity? A famous story from the Jewish business community tells of a father in America who handed his son a 1 pound block of copper worth about 35 cents. He said, "If you sell it at market price, you're just another seller. But if you think like a Jew, you'll find a way to turn it into 350 cents. The son began to think. First, he molded it into a premium door handle, then refined it further into decorative home hardware. Finally, he built a small brand around it and marketed it as a designer art piece. The value increased tenfold, not because of the raw material, but because of creative thinking and the ability to see what others overlook. For the Jewish people, everything can be the foundation of a new value chain. A skill, a relationship, a product, even a simple idea, if harnessed and expanded properly, can be multiplied many times over. Take a simple example: a person who cuts hair for a living. The average mindset would focus on serving as many clients as possible each day. But the Jewish way of thinking would ask, can I teach this skill to others? Can I open a small salon chain? Can I start a YouTube channel offering hair care tips? Can I write an ebook or sell hair care products? Suddenly, income is no longer limited to labor hours, but is scaled through products, services, education, and branding. Jewish people always think in terms of leverage and scale. They aren't satisfied with a single income stream. They find ways to turn a skill into a system, a job into a cash flow, a connection into a gateway for dozens of other opportunities. To them, SART 1 plus 1 is not a conclusion. It's a beginning. They continuously build value chains around what they already have, and that's why they go farther, operate more efficiently, and accumulate wealth more effectively than those still stuck in the cycle of work, get paid, spend, save. What about you? Are you living with a work to survive mindset, or are you actively finding ways to multiply your personal value every day? Are you boxing yourself into a narrow skill set, or are you expanding that skill into products, services, content, and personal branding? Remember, Jewish people don't just sell products, they sell value. They don't sell clothes, they sell a lifestyle. They don't sell food, they sell a cultural experience. They don't sell books, they sell the knowledge that helps others succeed. Starting today, look at everything you already have: your career, skills, resources, relationships, and ask yourself, how can I multiply the value of this? Because in finance, value isn't in the numbers, it's in the potential to grow. And when you apply the Jewish mindset of 1 plus 1, 2 to your life, you begin a journey where every step has the power to double your financial potential. In Jewish financial thinking, there is one enduring belief: time is the most valuable asset. Because money can be earned back, but once time passes, nothing can buy it back. To them, wasting time is the most dangerous form of poverty. Jewish people don't look at a clock just to check the hour. They see it as a money meter. They don't rush through life, but they live strategically. They don't let time pass unconsciously because they know that every minute wasted without creating value is a real loss. No different from money slipping out of your wallet without notice. A Jewish entrepreneur once calculated his income. He earned $240,000 a month, which broke down to about $8,000 per day based on an 8-hour workday. That meant he earned $1,000 an hour and $7 per minute. So if someone wasted just 5 minutes of his time, they essentially cost him $85. And he'd never let that happen. From this mindset, Jewish people build a strict life principle: no meaningless small talk, no meetings without a clear goal, no scrolling through social media just to kill time, no work without clear value. Meanwhile, many people are burning through time on things that don't matter, spending hours watching mindless entertainment, chatting away without reaching a single solution, scrolling Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube as a habit without purpose. They often justify it by saying, it's just a few minutes. But the Jewish mindset understands that a few minutes a day becomes hours a week, and those hours turn into months wasted every year. They don't live busy lives, they live intentional ones. They don't try to do more things, they focus on doing what matters most. They know which tasks generate income and which do not. They know when to go deep and when to cut things out. They don't need endless plans, just one right plan, followed through with focus. Some simple yet powerful practices the Jewish people apply every day to optimize their time include: dividing the day into 3 segments: learning, income generation, and quality rest. Prioritizing the top 3 important tasks every morning, no distractions until they're done. Scheduling weekly skill development sessions, even just 30 minutes. Setting strict time limits for entertainment, social media, meetings, and socializing. You might ask yourself, am I using my time effectively? The answer lies in your life's trajectory. Are you moving forward or standing still? Are you designing your days intentionally or letting others control your schedule? The truth is, if you don't manage your time, someone else will do it for you. They'll hire you, set your hours, and determine your worth on their terms. And in the end, you'll be living someone else's dream, not your own. Jewish people believe that time is invisible currency. Every minute that passes is an investment. What are you investing your time in? Will it bring long-term returns? Or are you spending it like someone who's never known poverty? Remember, the wealthy aren't just good at making money, they're great at protecting their time, because they know that once you control your time, you'll control your money. And once you master both, you'll master your life. Starting today, view your time as a constantly flowing stream of money. Don't let it leak away unnoticed. Direct it toward things that create real value for you, for your future, and for those you care about. Because the Jewish people have shown us, those who treat time like money are the ones who truly buy freedom. There's a famous saying in Jewish culture: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far and grow rich, go with the right people. To the Jewish people, relationships are not just about friendship. They are a sharp financial tool. They don't treat relationships as temporary social gestures. On the contrary, they see them as assets, as magnets for opportunity, and as leverage to reach heights one cannot achieve alone. Jewish people understand that no one becomes wealthy through personal ability alone. Behind every successful deal lies a network of connections, trustworthy partners, understanding collaborators, loyal clients, and sometimes just the right friend at the right time. A classic example is Bill Gates and Paul Allen. Without Paul Allen, his Jewish friend who handed him the first article about personal computers, the world might never have seen Microsoft. Ideas are mere seeds, but the right relationship can turn them into mighty trees. The Jewish don't form friendships based on emotion. They don't look for people just to chat or kill time. They choose friends, partners, and associates based on clear criteria: a positive mindset, long-term goals, entrepreneurial spirit, financial ethics, and social responsibility. To them, a high-quality relationship can be more valuable than a large sum of money. The right conversation can spark a new business idea. The right introduction can open the door to massive funding. The right friend can save you from a costly mistake. Conversely, Jewish people are extremely cautious of toxic relationships. They avoid those who are negative, complain constantly, blame others, or drag people down just to feel better about themselves. Because they know, if you surround yourself with 5 successful people, you'll be the 6th. But if you stay close to 5 failures, you're likely to fail too. That's why the Jewish community invests seriously in building strategic relationships. They attend events not to check in, but to meet the right people. They network not to make more friends, but to create more value. They nurture relationships not with words, but with action, integrity, and time. What about you? Look at your current network. Do the people you talk to daily push you forward or hold you back? Are they inspiring, sharing opportunities, and encouraging your growth? Or are they full of complaints, demands, and always saying you can't? If you're serious about personal finance, start by restructuring your relationship ecosystem. Reach out to people who are more skilled than you. Learn to ask smart questions and show genuine curiosity. Offer value before expecting to receive. Jewish people may lose money, but they never let go of strategic relationships. Because they know, in a constantly changing world, the person who helps you recover fastest is someone who has trusted and respected you all along. And sometimes, just one right relationship can save you 5 years of your life. Starting today, don't try to succeed alone. Find the right people to walk with. Because wealth doesn't only come from individual effort. It also comes from the power of the community you build around yourself. It may sound counterintuitive, but the Jewish people believe how you spend money reflects exactly how you earn money. Because if you don't know how to spend money wisely, you'll never truly understand its real value, and therefore, you'll never create meaningful cash flow. In today's society, we are often taught to be rich, you must save. Many carry this belief for life, saving every cent, cutting every cost, avoiding spending at all costs. But the Jewish people don't fully agree. They believe that saving alone won't make you rich unless you know how to spend wisely. A dollar saved but left idle will either stay the same or lose value over time. But a dollar spent correctly can grow, generate income, or unlock new opportunities for long-term growth. There's a well-known Jewish tale. A father gives his 3 sons a bag of gold. The youngest son uses it for trade and multiplies the value. The second son invests it into production and expands the business. But the eldest son, afraid of losing it, buries the gold to protect the capital. In the end, the father calls the eldest the foolish one because he failed to grasp the true nature of money. It must circulate, move, and generate returns. To the Jewish people, spending money is not wasteful, it's strategic. But that strategy must be clear. Spend only when the expense is an investment in yourself, your tools, or meaningful relationships. Use money for things that expand your thinking, open new doors, or increase work efficiency. Avoid meaningless expenses, showing off, emotional impulse buys, or spending to soothe insecurity. They are willing to spend money on a high-quality skill course, a book that can shift their mindset, a seminar that introduces the right people, a work tool that saves 20 hours a month, a trip to meet a partner who may unlock 5 years of opportunity. On the other hand, they are extremely cautious of impulsive spending. No spending to chase trends. No buying just because it's discounted. No using money to mask emotions. And most importantly, never letting money control them. Interestingly, Jewish people are not stingy. They can be very generous, but it's strategic generosity. They spend boldly when it leads to growth, meaning, or communal benefit. But they absolutely do not spend to impress. They understand that every dollar spent is a vote for the values they believe in. What about you? When you hold money in your hand, are you using it to invest in your future or to satisfy the present? Have you ever asked yourself, will this expense bring me closer to my financial goals? Or are you spending without knowing where your money is going? If you spend money unconsciously, you're likely earning money aimlessly too. But if you spend money with intention and strategy, you will naturally begin to learn how to earn money the right way. Jewish parents teach their children, money is a tool. If you know how to use it, it will serve you. If you don't, it will destroy you. So start developing the habit of purposeful spending. Track your expenses. Ask questions before opening your wallet. And always keep one core principle in mind. Spend to grow, not to empty. Because smart people don't save just to remain poor. They spend money to become rich. In modern society, the word frugality often conjures images of hardship, lack, or even stinginess. But for the Jewish people, a community renowned for both prosperity and financial wisdom, frugality is not a sign of poverty, but a high-level strategy for achieving true freedom. They believe, no financial freedom is built on wastefulness. If you don't respect the value of small amounts of money, you won't have the mindset to preserve large ones. To them, frugality isn't just about spending less. It's about spending wisely, strategically, and consciously. They're willing to spend generously on things with long-term value, education and skill development, health and work tools, meaningful relationships and investment opportunities. At the same time, they refuse to spend on ego, superficial appearances, or emotional whims. They don't care what others think about the car they drive, the clothes they wear, or the meals they eat. They only care whether their money creates real value. There's a story often retold in Jewish communities about John D. Rockefeller, one of the richest men in history, shaped by Jewish financial thinking. As a young man, he once spent a large sum on a book promising the secret to quick wealth. When he opened it, he found only 2 words, be frugal. At first, he thought it was a scam, but the more he reflected, the more he realized those 2 words contained an entire philosophy. With that mindset, He saved his first $800, which he used to invest in oil. From that modest capital, he built a financial empire that lasted for generations. Most importantly, he never let a lavish lifestyle sabotage his financial clarity. Jewish people live the same way. They may appear modest on the outside, but behind the simple apartment is a solid investment portfolio. Behind the average car are shares in major companies. Behind a humble meal is a tightly managed personal finance system. Because they understand, living frugally isn't about living poorly, it's about staying in control. The frugal person has options. They're not forced into debt. They don't have to work under pressure. They can say no to jobs, relationships, or risks that don't align with their values. What about you? Are you practicing true frugality? Or are you confusing it with scarcity? Are you spending for long-term goals or chasing short-term indulgences you don't really need? Frugality doesn't mean rejecting joy. On the contrary, the Jewish people know how to enjoy life in their own way. They don't spend to impress, they spend to elevate their lives. Every dollar spent should create greater value in the future. If it doesn't, it's better saved for a more meaningful moment. That's the difference between someone with financial intelligence and someone ruled by emotional consumption. Start with the smallest things. Track your daily expenses. Reevaluate unnecessary costs. Learn to distinguish between wants and needs. And most importantly, appreciate every dollar you earn. Jewish parents teach their children, a small coin used wisely can open the door to great opportunities. And true wealth doesn't come from windfalls. It comes from daily financial habits repeated with discipline. From today, remember this: frugality doesn't make you poor. It is the shortest path to sustainable wealth and true freedom. If you ask a Jewish person, what's the most profitable investment, you won't hear stocks, real estate, or gold. Instead, they'll look you in the eye and say, invest in yourself. For the Jewish people, this isn't a motivational slogan. It's a life principle, a core financial compass, passed from generation to generation. Because every material asset in life, no matter how vast, can be lost. But if you possess knowledge, skills, and the right mindset, you can rebuild from zero and often come back stronger. They never treat learning as secondary. In their culture, learning is a lifelong financial responsibility. They read books daily. They attend skill-building classes, workshops, and knowledge-sharing groups. They learn from books, from experts, and from real-world experience. And they never allow themselves to stop, even at the top of their field. Because they understand, the more capable you are, the less dependent you become. With knowledge, skills, and strategy, you can make decisions independently, create your own opportunities, and build your own wealth. There's a memorable story in the Jewish community about a boy named Yoni. He wasn't born into wealth or privilege, but his parents taught him early. The only asset you can carry for life is your wisdom. So Yoni began investing in himself bit by bit, learning to write, speak, negotiate, and solve problems. By age 30, he became a sought-after expert by major corporations, not for his looks or connections, but for the knowledge he had and the value he could deliver. Investing in yourself doesn't always yield immediate results, but it always generates long-term value. A $100 course could help you earn $400 more each month. A strong communication skill might help you close $1 million deal. A daily reading habit might spark the insight that changes your entire career. On the other hand, many people spend freely on expensive clothes but hesitate to buy a book. They drop thousands on vacations but avoid paying for a quality course. They spend to impress but shy away from spending to improve. And that's why the more they spend, the more they feel lacking, because they're putting money into things that fade instead of the things that stay and elevate them. Jewish parents teach their children, if you lose money, you still have a chance. If you lose assets, you still have your mind. But if you stop learning, you've already lost everything. What about you? When was the last time you learned a new skill? Have you ever bought a course that changed your financial perspective? Do you set aside time daily to read, reflect, and grow? If your answer is no, or it's been a while, you may be overlooking the best investment of your life. Starting today, commit to putting aside a small portion of your income, however modest, to invest in yourself. A powerful book, a deep dive course, a coffee with someone more knowledgeable than you, an hour learning tech, language, or financial management. Because you are the most valuable business you'll ever own. And if you invest wisely, that business will generate cash flow, opportunities, and freedom for the rest of your life. One of the most dangerous mistakes in modern financial thinking is the desire to get rich quickly. Many people are caught in a cycle of chasing overnight success, falling for promises of high return investments, or jumping into unclear ventures just because they fear missing out. But the Jewish people don't think that way. For them, getting rich quickly is never the goal. The true goal is to become sustainably wealthy, steadily, securely, and with depth. They understand that money gained too easily is just as easily lost. The most valuable part of the journey to wealth is not the speed, it's the foundation. Jewish people liken building wealth to growing a tree. You can't force it to grow faster. You can't expect fruit if the roots aren't deep. And if you try to rush the process, all you'll get is a weak tree, one that falls at the first gust of wind. In investing, they don't chase trends, jump on hype, or follow the crowd just because others are making money. They research thoroughly, assess risks, and only make decisions based on solid foundations. They accept going slow, slow to learn, slow to understand, slow to go farther in the long run. A popular story in the Jewish community tells of a small barbecue shop in Manchester. While neighboring restaurants poured money into trendy marketing and rapid transformations, this humble shop stayed true to its traditional recipes and core values. The result? After 3 generations, it not only survived, it became a local icon, celebrated by the media as a symbol of trust and resilience. The Jewish believe that a strong brand isn't built from temporary hype, but from real value sustained over time. A healthy cash flow doesn't come from a lucky break, but from a solid investment system. And a truly wealthy person isn't the one who earns the most. It's the one who sustains prosperity for the longest. What about you? Are you chasing a project that promises huge returns in 30 days? Or are you building a sustainable income stream that can support you for the next 30 years? Are you hoping for a quick win? Or are you planting financial fruit trees so one day you can harvest without fear of loss? If you're caught up in the desire to get rich fast, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, am I building on rock or on sand? If the market shifts, what will I still have? Do I truly understand what I'm doing, or am I just following the crowd? The Jewish teach, what comes easily is rarely real. What takes time to build is worth preserving. That's why they don't just teach their children how to earn money. They teach them to wait, to train, and to prepare. Because great opportunities don't come to the fastest. They come to those who are most prepared. Starting today, let go of the get-rich-quick mindset. Replace it with long-term thinking. Plant roots before picking fruit. Invest in real value, not flashy tricks. And remember, slow wealth that lasts is true wealth. Only when you build a solid foundation can you stand firm through any storm. And when you finally reach your goal, you won't just be rich. You'll be free, peaceful, and resilient. Throughout much of life, we are taught that hard work is the only path to wealth. We go to school, get jobs, and work tirelessly from morning to night, believing that if we try hard enough, someday we'll achieve financial stability. But the Jewish people view the financial game from a different perspective. They don't dismiss the value of hard work, but they understand something deeper. Hard work helps you survive. But to truly become wealthy, you must let money work for you. For them, labor is the starting point, not the destination. They don't spend their whole lives exchanging time for money because they know time is limited, energy is limited. But cash flow can be unlimited if you know how to make it work. That's why Jewish people focus on building financial systems early on. They don't let all their income go straight into consumption. Instead, they set aside a portion to invest. They believe every dollar shouldn't sit idle in a bank. It should be sent on a mission to generate more money for its owner. Some may think investing is only for the rich. Jewish people disagree. For them, investing begins with small, consistent, and strategic actions. A portion goes into investment funds. A portion into real estate, a portion into learning new skills, the most sustainable return of all. They create a smart financial cycle: earn, save a portion, invest, generate returns, reinvest. This cycle doesn't depend on working forever. It relies on the automated financial system you build. While many continue grinding day after day, Jewish individuals, through years of small, disciplined investments, have built stable sources of passive income. And once you can live off your cash flow without trading your time, you are not just wealthy, you are free. What about you? Are you working for money, or do you have a plan to make money work for you? Do you have income streams that continue even while you rest? Are you relying on a single source of income? If the answer is yes, that's your biggest risk. Because if that stream falters due to illness, job loss, or industry change, you lose everything. Jewish people understand this, and they never allow themselves to be financially cornered. They teach their children, if your money is sitting still, it's dying. If it's earning, it's alive. And those with true financial intelligence are those who never let their money sleep. Starting today, begin creating your own financial system. Save a fixed portion of your income every month. Learn about investment options that fit your level. Turn your skills into assets: writing, teaching, selling digital products, building side income. Reinvest your profits instead of spending them. Hard work is good, but only when paired with smart financial strategy. Without it, you'll stay stuck in the loop of earn, spend, exhaustion with no exit. Jewish people choose another path. They let money work so they can live to enjoy life. And you can start that path today. When we think of successful people, we often picture millions in the bank, towering skyscrapers, luxury cars, or grand investment deals. But the Jewish people will tell you something entirely different. Wealth doesn't begin with millions. It begins with how you treat the smallest coin. To them, even a single cent matters. If you disregard a penny, you won't be able to hold on to a million. If you can't manage small expenses, you'll lose control when larger sums come your way. And if you don't know how to hold on to $1, you won't be able to keep a fortune. A famous story about John D. Rockefeller, the oil tycoon and one of the richest men of his time, has become symbolic of this philosophy. Despite his billions, he would still bend down to pick up a penny on the street. Not because he needed the money, but because he respected the value of labor, the principle of saving, and the discipline of honoring every dollar. Jewish parents teach their children early on. A dollar earned through sweat and wisdom is worth more than one gained by luck. Never underestimate small expenses. That's where the quiet leaks in personal finance begin. They instill in their children the habit of tracking expenses, budgeting, and monitoring cash flow from a young age. They teach them to distinguish between essential spending and emotional spending. They remind them, money is not the problem. It's how you use it that leads to success or failure. And reality proves it. Many people earn a lot of money but still don't become wealthy. Why? Because they waste countless small amounts. A daily coffee they don't really need. A product bought just because it's on sale, not because it's necessary. Unmonitored fees, entertainment subscriptions, online shopping, service charges, penalties. Those small amounts add up and silently drain your finances. Much like a boat that doesn't sink from massive waves, but from tiny holes that go unnoticed. The Jewish people think differently. They understand that the power of personal finance lies not in how much you make, but in how much you keep and how you use it. Someone earning $4,000 a month and spending $3,800 isn't any better off than someone earning $400 and saving half. Respecting small money doesn't mean living in deprivation. On the contrary, it's how you build a solid foundation. When you value every dollar, you begin to think twice before spending, invest wisely at the right time, save consistently for the future, and most importantly, develop financial discipline, the core ingredient of lasting wealth. Ask yourself, have you ever skipped a chance to save, thinking it's just a few bucks? Have you made impulse purchases just out of habit? Have you ignored small expenses because tracking them isn't worth the time? If yes, start changing that today. Begin by respecting the money you already have. Because every dollar can be a seed if you know where to plant it. Every small expense reflects a bigger habit. and those habits will ultimately determine how much of your wealth you can actually preserve throughout life. The Jewish people understand wealth doesn't come from luck, it comes from habit. And that habit begins with how you treat every dollar in your hand. Dear friend, we've just explored together the 14 powerful financial mindsets of the Jewish people, a community small in number but immense in wisdom and resilient in wealth. From never letting money sit idle to mastering the art of wise spending, from seeing far in investments to remaining patient through every beginning, from respecting the smallest coin to transforming knowledge into priceless assets. None of these are mere theories. They are financial principles proven over centuries. If any of these mindsets helped shift how you view money, work, or your financial future, don't let it stop at, "That was nice to hear." Choose one idea and put it into practice today. Whether it's learning a new skill, creating an investment plan, or simply tracking a single expense, that is the first step toward true financial freedom. Share in the comments below which lesson resonated with you the most. We read and respond to every message because on this journey to financial mastery, you are not alone. If you found value here, don't forget to subscribe to receive more thoughtful and practical lessons each week. Thank you for staying with us until the very end. May you soon possess a solid mindset, a strong cash flow, and a life of freedom and intention. See you in the next video.